So, thank you, sir, for coming to the podcast. I'm really appreciating your effort to come till here and talk to me on this show. You are a well-known faculty of political science and you have deep knowledge on political science. So, I'd like to just start with what has happened in recent past about the Iran attacking Pakistan and then Pakistan retaliating today.
Yeah, first thing that, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It's a pleasure to be here. Pakistan is a very new development, so it will be too early to make any comment on this, but definitely since Pakistan is our neighbor, any disturbance is definitely a matter of worry, matter of concern for India. And I believe that Indian leadership is closely observing this situation and they will take appropriate measures on it. But really, there is till this development has to be watched very closely.
So about these wars which are constantly happening, one country trying to move into some other country and attack their sovereignty. Why is this frequently happening nowadays?
No, see, when globalization started, sometime in early 90s. So basically it was in an area of the Western world. But within next 10 years, the countries in the developing world, they have hugely participated in this process. Initially, they could not understand the game of globalization, that is called trade and commerce. But they did not take much time to get accustomed to it, and they started influencing the world, politics, world trade, international relations. And that in next 10 years or 12 years time, that's the developing societies, developing countries have become very important stakeholders, significant stakeholders in international relations. But then in the mid of 2014-15, around that time, slowly an inward-looking syndrome arose, and even America was not very interested about globalization. Because the kind of market that they would think that will capture or will dominate over, that was not really happening. So various kind of resistance, various kind of domestic initiatives were creating a lot of roadblocks. And now what is happening is that countries are desperately in need of more market. So therefore they are exploring market. At the same time, there are a lot of ground level uncertainties due to new kind of trade, new kind of politics. And thus a lot of grievances, a lot of unrest at the micro level, and a lot of aspirations at the macro level. And I think that this is not really matching properly, and when there will be mismatch, so automatically it will be manifested in different conflictual manner, in different unusual manner, disturbing manner, and I think that these are the manifestations of that.
Because of that, what are the impacts on India if we see socially, economically of the globalization which you are mentioning here, and how India's geopolitics has changed after globalization?
See, if India has made one major shift in 1990 when it reduced its ideology-based relationship with the world and made a trade-based or financial or economy-based relationship. So when India entered into globalization through its LPG programs, and that was a major shift. But at the same time, one has to keep it in mind that India has been persistently and consistently representing the liberal democratic world liberal democratic society. So India has not deviated from this position. So therefore, on the one side, India always believed that it is not war and conflict, but negotiation dialogue should be the way to solve world problems. And on the other side, India wanted to be an important political stakeholder, important trade partner in the world. India is not in a position, given its geographic expanse, resource stock, its leadership capability, its strategic various or strategic advantages. It wants to be at par with all the other countries which are otherwise dominating in the world scenario. So therefore, I think India's aspiration is absolutely rational and justified. And India has been pursuing very well with that, because different times, different kind of leadership dynamics are coming, different kind of strategic and plan of actions are coming. And so far, they are yielding result in favor of India. So that way, India has become, in last 30 or 40 years, an important stakeholder, and now it is in the front line of the leadership. So that way, we can say that India has a lot of potential to influence various developments, various ups and downs, ups and downs in the world. And India has been very, very efficiently negotiating those areas.
So do you think this soft power which India focuses on too much, it can be an answer to China's policy of investing? Because China invests huge amount of money, we see in the island regions of Indian Ocean and in Africa. And we have seen that those countries tilt towards China because of the kind of investment coming, huge investment. Everybody needs money to develop. And on the other hand, India has not been investing in that proportion, but we do have a soft diplomacy, which we call as the soft power of India. Does it work in the geopolitics in a real sense?
It has been working. India's soft power, first is that when India gave this call for non-alignment way back in 1955-56, it worked very well. Then when after the 1960s, all kind of problems which erupted because of the escalation of Cold War, then India came in the forefront and tried to mobilize the developing societies under the platform of NAM. And that way India has negotiated very well the message of peace, message of cooperation, message of harmony. And India has been still persisting that area. And if India-China relationship is concerned, you will not show a single incident when India has been aggressive against China. It has been China which has been aggressive in 1962, which demanded some of India's land, which has created some of the disturbances in the border areas. And India in those areas have always played a defensive role, very constructive role. Now, if your house is attacked, then definitely you have all the right to resist. Now, so far, economic aspects are concerned. Now, India has been always in trade relationship with China. India has been maintaining very good diplomatic relationship with China. So India has also been sharing various important world platforms with China. You take for example BRICS, you take for example SCO. So India has been sharing. But at the same time, India has to keep in mind, because China has been expanding its trade, and China has every right to expand its trade. I don't think that India is concerned about that. But only thing is that now, if China becomes a disturbance for India, and it is one of the very large countries in the neighborhood, and if Pakistan is getting support, if any other country is getting support, if there is any other disturbances which India thinks that China can have a role, then definitely a very healthy, constructive relationship with China becomes difficulty.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think that India is much concerned that how China has been influencing various countries, okay, through trade relationship. No, every country has freedom, and India has been also trying. And I don't think that India has been ever commenting on that area. India is only concerned when it is coming on India.
True.
So that is the only area. So therefore, creating unnecessary rhetoric about India-China relationship is not necessary. It's a very small area, okay, and that is not a new area also. This area has been existing from 1962. That you please respect our border, you please respect our sovereignty, and we respect your border, we respect your sovereignty. Okay, and China has every right to be a world leader, to be an important stakeholder in the world, as India is also having that right. Now, what is happening that India, since 1991, has been progressing very impressively. Okay, and it has been catching up many of the so-called developed countries and developed economies, and China is also falling in that. Now, China has to accept, okay, India's growth,
Yes.
that India's development, and India is also becoming an important stakeholder. Okay, and India is also, having its right to be an important stakeholder in the world politics. I think there is maybe little problem from China's side, to accept it, because when India says, and advocates for UNSC reform, okay, China is one of the countries which strongly resisted. Okay, so that shows that China is not very open to see that India is growing, expanding its influence and base. So otherwise, I don't think that India has ever orchestrated any unnecessary campaign, okay, against China, or creating any kind of wrong propaganda against China.
So going back in history, there was this Nanking atrocities committed by Japan, the Nanking area of China. China was never able to retaliate in a way. When Japan did something to US was able to bomb Japan and take the revenge. But no such revenge has ever been taken by China on Japan, because it was not capable of doing it at that point in time. And now, given the new world order, it becomes very difficult. But I have heard, I may be wrong, that since then it has been the China's external policy to be very aggressive and expanding rather than inward looking, because it doesn't want any aggression from outside to come within China. So is this a true story, or there is some?
Very difficult to say, because China's whole foreign policy is called that, very mysterious. Sometimes it is called date trap policy. Sometimes it is called that Wolfgang policy. Different kind of terminologies are there. It's very difficult to read China. Okay, like nobody imagined that in 2001, China will be joining WTO, and next day it will capture the world market. Okay, so it's very difficult to say anything about China so conclusively. Okay, but definitely how China-Japan relationship is moving is not major concern here. So therefore, maybe there are historical reasons, because Japan colonized China for a long time, and also Japan and China may have same geopolitical space, okay, in their strategic plan to influence upon. So therefore, they may not be giving a war a priority. So there can be multiple reasons. So concluding on that would not be very convenient for us.
So what is the role of international organizations in this? Now it has been said that the relevance of United Nations is decreasing, and G20 is coming up as a new forum for developed countries where major policies are made. What change has this new organization bringing into the world order?
No, you'll have to understand one thing, that UN had different purpose, UN had different structure, and UN is a different mechanism. Now G20 or G77 or G7, none of them can replace UN. Okay, so G20 has its own role and UN has its own role. Okay, so don't think that G20 is becoming an alternative to UN. It is not possible, and I don't think that it has ever been thought of. Okay, now world is becoming, from 1991 after the collapse of USSR, it is moving towards multipolarity.
Yes.
Okay, and what is that multipolarity? Multipolarity means now it is not a vertical relationship, between West and the East. Okay, that concept of West, concept of East, these kind of concepts are becoming oblivious or becoming obsolete, or it is changing. Okay, in this changing situation, now countries are trying to develop horizontal space in terms of cooperation, in terms of trade, in terms of diplomatic relations, in terms of political strategic alliances. Okay, and G20 is one such platforms where the developing countries gets enough space to air their views, to go for a shared responsibility to develop a better world, and to create new avenues for trade, commerce, and other opportunities, cultural opportunities, social opportunities. So therefore, what UN is doing is a different thing. UN is an intergovernmental platform, which has a quasi legal capacity, which has some mandates, which other member countries are expected to follow. But G20 is an open forum. It is for your national interest, national security, your regional security, your trade security. So various kind of interest and security that it will protect. At the same time, it will try to see that world remains peaceful, world remains more constructive. It becomes more development oriented rather than destruction oriented. So this kind of agenda is the focus of a platform like G20.
The United Nations also has the health, WHO as one of the health.
These are the agencies, these are the institutions. Yeah.
Then the cultural one is also there. So it has a very wider role compared to G20.
Yeah.
So in that, you're right about it, that it cannot be replaced. It cannot be replaced because it plays not only the security role but also the economic, cultural, and the
definitely it cannot replace, but definitely you can reform UN, because UN is still very much West bound. Okay, so that is not very good sign. Okay, but whatever happened in 1945 cannot be applied in the same manner in 2024. Okay, so but there are many powers, many vested interests which don't want any reform in UN system. So these kind of platforms, and the kind of initiatives that India is taking will be very crucial to initiate reforms in UN, which is definitely necessary to make UN more relevant in contemporary world. So that way, this kind of platforms can play a very important role.
And sir, comparing this veto power which the 5 countries have in the United Nations and comparing it with the regional powers which are emerging now. Iran is one regional power in the whole Arab world. India is here. South Korea, North Korea, I don't know whether to call it a power or not, but it has certainly caught the eyes of the world. These things are coming up which are influencing the geopolitics in a very different manner. The manner it was like 30 or 40 years back when veto power played a major role. So how this coming up of the regional powers and regional organizations, one organization against the other, like the Quad has come up against China. It may not be its mandate, but it is looked like that by the world. how these regional associations and regional power and their growth is playing role in the geopolitics.
See, this kind of regional platforms, I am not going specifically on Quad or any other, because there are plenty of such organizations across the world. But definitely this kind of regional organizations, they are fast, as I told earlier, they are, contributing to towards multipolarity of the world. Okay, so therefore, dominance of one or two countries over the world is going to be, how to say, it will be eroding. Okay, it will be definitely, it will be declining. Okay, and definitely nobody will give up the power so easily, and therefore these kind of forums, when they are creating various kind of programs, activities, okay, and they are trying to become self-sufficient. Now, what you will notice that earlier, the developing countries, they used to go and try to join various forums promoted by the rich countries or Western countries. Now it is happening other way. Okay, yes. Now the Western countries or big powers, they are running all across the world to create forums. They want to, be member. They want to be part of various kind of regional forums, yes, because they know that if the regional forums go out of their hands, then it will not be beneficial for them. So I think it itself is a significant shift in world politics. It shows that the small countries, they are holding, huge power to influence the international relations, and therefore they are, creating the forums, okay, which is attracting big powers to join and participate. And not only they are participating, they are making also huge commitments for those kind of forums to survive and function. Yes. So I think that this is a major shift and indication that world is moving towards multipolarity.
Like United States is also the member, the observer member of SAARC and ASEAN.
Everywhere, even, it is trying to, go anywhere. If they don't find there is a forum where they are not, then immediately they are also promoting a forum so that they can be part of it.
Yes, true. And how is technology playing the part in geopolitics? Because after globalization and especially after, the decade of 80s and 90s, the technology started to develop really fast. How this technology, cyber warfare and other issues related, the ethical consideration of it also, how is this playing a major role in shaping the geopolitics today?
Yeah, technology, has two, major roles to play, or you can say that technology plays its role in two different ways. One, it has a very loud, prominent, manifested presence. It is also a silent factor. Okay. Now, when it is loud and prominent, okay, then it tries to dominate through technology. For example, okay, that in 1980, President Reagan of USA, he said that now we are ready for Star War. Okay, that is a loud, prominent, power of technology. Yes. Okay. Now, it's same way, okay, if you go that when, during the Cold War, they were trying to, go to the space and also, plan to control the space. It was loud, pronouncement that we have technological advances. Okay, but there is also silent factor. Okay, like for example, that India has, very, very quietly, okay, developed many of the areas, okay, for which India was earlier depending on other countries. Okay, now India, our scientists, our technologists, okay, our technocrats, they have developed it over the period. And that way, many countries, they are becoming self-sufficient on many of the areas of technology on which they were earlier dependent on other countries. So that way, technology also plays a silent factor, okay, to give you strength. The moment you have certain technologies, Like for example, you see the India has been even going into the weapon industry in a very big way. So India has been slowly doing India's engineering industries, India's roadway, engineering. You see that how it has been working. Okay, so these are called silent factor, okay, which is definitely giving India a huge mileage. For example, that when India makes huge road network, okay, then India technologically becomes a power, okay, in the world on which other countries can depend to develop their road infrastructure.
Sure.
So therefore, these becomes a silent factor, okay, to catapult you into the world platform. So these two areas of technology and two areas of influence of technology needs to be taken into account. Now, West so far has always survived on the loud and manifested area of technology, while developing societies are principally, primarily, mainly, okay, strengthening its, these areas of technology, which you can say broadly a silent, a development of technology. Like in our agriculture, you see the new technologies coming.
Yes.
Okay, in every field you will see that, even education, everywhere it is coming. You see that how silently India in last around 3-4 years, okay, has made almost, a large percentage of economic transaction, okay, through digital, what you call network.
Yes.
But very silent it has happened. Okay, I don't think that people knew it even in 2018 or 19. But even today, an illiterate person, okay, even that person knows how to deal with it. This is called a silent revolution of technology.
Monetization also.
Yeah, so which has given huge power to the developing societies.
So, do you see India's space program, Mangalyaan, Chandrayaan, and Aditya mission as the loud pronouncement which you are referring? Loud pronouncement in the field of technology that we are also coming up.
Yeah. So far, to make the world know that India is also equipped, it is definitely loud and pronounced. But you see the efforts, okay, that India has, commissioned its, energy division, okay, immediately after the independence in 1950.
Yes.
Okay, that means, it did not want to do a very loud pronouncement, but it was a silent process,
Yes.
very small process, okay, but very consistent and persistent process. Now that has been giving us result. Okay, when it is giving us result, definitely we must let the world know that we are also a power which can, go to the space. So therefore, monopoly over the space can also be challenged by the developing societies. And it is very, very, significant to know that from the developing societies, only two countries, one is India, another is China, okay, who are very, very, how to say, very widely present even in space mission. Okay, and that is very good sign. So therefore, multipolarity is not only in the trade or in the what you call political equation, but also on space control, space management.
Yes.
Also, a multipolarity is taking place, and in that also India is equally participating very significantly and contributing hugely in that area. So perhaps that India is leading, okay, in that area because India is a very democratic country, okay, one of the largest democracies, and that way India has much more scope to contribute, okay, than even China.
Yeah. True. And sir, about this environment diplomacy, because now environment is a new thing coming up, and there are forums, international forums, multilateral forums based on environment. Do you see environment having an impact on geopolitics? Can that be an important area of geopolitics, not for environment per se, but also for growth of the relation between two countries? Can environment play that factor?
Yeah, see, when, late 1950s or early 1960s, environment became a concern, an issue. People thought that it is a domestic concern. It's a domestic problem. Okay. But, over the period, okay, it has not, remained a domestic problem. Okay, in 1970s itself, okay, people, slowly started attaching environment also as a component of neo-colonial design.
True.
Okay, so when the dependency theories, they started emerging, okay, and then neo-colonial arguments started becoming stronger, they also identified that, natural resources also is a major target, okay, of neo-colonialism. And those, concerns, okay, have, like when your forest is going, when your fossil fuel is going, okay, then you have become concerned, okay, that my oil is going, my everything is going, now how to protect it. Okay, so from 1970s, that, a more in-depth research, in-depth study on these areas have started. And you will see the result that in 1990s onward, okay, that people started resisting. Now they are not ready to give up. You see that Rio, conference in 1990. You see that Paris agreement in 2015. Okay, and you see the kind of campaign which has been going on. Okay, and then finally, Western countries, in spite of lot of resistance, they have agreed that it is their duty, okay, to reduce the emission level.
Yes.
And what they wanted, that, initially they resisted, then they have accepted. Okay, still now they are not, too open to that. While some countries are definitely, very open to that. Okay, European Union has, even reduced further than whatever has been decided in Rio. Okay, these are good signs. But on the other side, you see, okay, that a country like India is not saying that we will not do. Okay, developing societies are saying that no, it is not only your duty, we will also do. Okay, but, our agriculture is hardly 70 years old or 50 years old. Before that, we are colonized, and therefore our economy was agricultural economy. Okay, now, if we start now, regulating all these things, because we don't have those kind of technology. First, then technology will be depending on you, which we don't want. Secondly, we also want to develop our industry. So you better reduce your thing and let us grow and let us come to a level playing field first.
Yes.
So India has said that, okay, we'll take 50 years. And in world history, 50 years is very, very small time. So therefore, you cannot say that developing countries are relinquishing its responsibility. It is very much, taking the responsibility. It is showing a very, very, very positive attitude that, overall environment is an world issue. Okay, and world, politics, international relations cannot be separated from environmental, issues, environmental concerns, ecological concerns. And in that, developing countries are ready to share responsibilities according to their position, capability, okay, and their how to say, their ability to respond towards this issue. So I think that way environmental issues definitely become a major agenda in international relations.
Yeah, and between the countries for their personal.
There are issues on water sharing.
Yes.
Okay, there are issues on transboundary pollution.
Yes.
Okay, and this has been the issues.
One ecological area running into 2 or 3 countries simultaneously. Yeah. So the management of that.
Yeah. Because ecology doesn't understand your physical territorial division. So therefore it is becoming transboundary in nature. Okay, and there are various agencies who have been working on it. Okay, and they are bringing out very authentic reports on them. And I think world is deliberating upon. UN has been regularly organizing such kind of conferences. okay, where very constructive, suggestions are coming, measures are, taken by states. So therefore, it is very much a part of, international relations and the relations between the countries. Because countries are jointly taking initiatives for that. They are trying measures so that, further deterioration to climate does not happen. Okay. So many of the countries who are in the south, are at the risk of, being submerged.
Yes.
Okay, if further, deterioration to, global warming happens. Okay, so therefore, automatically, this becomes a concern, because, the ice will be melt in the north.
Yes.
Okay, and the submergence will take in the south. So therefore, two poles will have to come together to see that how, because unless, the, ice melting has been restricted there, okay, the risk of submergence cannot be avoided. So therefore, definitely two poles will have to come somewhere, and I think those, initiatives are very much active.
Besides such global issues such as the global warming you mentioned, and recently there was a pandemic, COVID-19. Do you think somewhere the definition of sovereignty is diluting or needs to change? how sovereignty, because it's becoming a world order.
No, see, you'll have to see this way. First thing is that, either a person is dead or alive. A person cannot be simultaneously dead and simultaneously alive. Both the things cannot happen. Okay, now what, we have learned in our school days is sovereignty means it is an undivided, indivisible power. It is an absolute power. Okay, and the moment power is, divisive, power is divided, then it is not sovereign power.
Yeah.
So therefore, either there is sovereignty or there is no sovereignty. There cannot be in between, that half sovereignty and half non-sovereignty. That is not possible. Okay, now what is happening then? There are two things. One is the traditional concept of sovereignty. Okay, now that was basically your territorial sovereignty.
Yes.
Okay, your, ownership over your resources, ownership over your land, and your independent capacity of taking decisions. Okay, and your own population. So those are the traditional concepts. Now, so far, if you look at it, now your control over land is still sovereign control.
Yes.
Okay, your people are your people, not others' people. Your resources are your resources. Now, where the problems are coming? Problems are coming to take a decisions, okay, sovereign decisions on your own, on or about your resources.
Yes.
Okay, this is where the main issues are coming. Fine. Earlier, the world was a closed world. Okay, in a closed world, okay, you can decide how your resources will be used. Okay, all, your own decisions. Now it is an open world. Okay, now if you are a closed person, okay, then you have one lifestyle. Okay, but if you are a social person, you want to mix with others. Okay, you want to share with others. In that case, your behavior will be different. You'll have to also, share the concerns of the, common issues. Because if you are a close person, then definitely what is happening in your neighborhood, you are indifferent. But if you are a social person, then you will see that, you should have a good society. When you are thinking about good society, then you will have to, compromise. Okay, that doesn't mean that you are sacrificing. Okay, you are not giving it up. Okay, now it is a shared responsibility. And where shared responsibility is coming, then many of the decisions, okay, you are taking, keeping also the interest of the general good. Okay, now you cannot say that, that is compromising with sovereignty. Now the other side, okay, that is the, domination syndrome. Okay, domination syndrome is not something new. Even if you go to the, medieval period, a powerful king will tell the neighboring king, which is comparatively weaker, okay, that you do it. Okay, so that's called domination syndrome. And that domination syndrome has been reflecting in different ways. For example, that a transnational company, okay, which you need badly, okay, they can, tell you that, no, please you do this way, or you have to do this way.
Yes.
Okay. Now you are compromising on it. Right? Now, this kind of, compromisation on certain, policy areas, certain, plan of action areas are definitely there. But for that, bringing sovereignty and saying that sovereignty as a whole at stake, perhaps an overstatement. Okay, definitely sovereignty is undergoing a different kind of, situation. Okay, there is a shift of understanding of sovereignty. As you have understood democracy, okay, a classical way and modern way. Similarly, okay, you'll have to understand sovereignty from traditional perspective and modern perspective. And this is where a conflict is coming. Okay, now when you are trying to understand sovereignty in modern perspective, suddenly you are getting shocked sometimes that maybe sovereignty is absolutely getting diluted. But that may be an over-concern. I personally don't think that sovereignty is all, disappearing, okay, or vanishing away. But sovereignty is, is adjusting itself, okay, to contemporary world, okay, very appropriately.
Okay. It's not an easy thing to get diluted.
Yeah, it's not easy thing to get diluted. That may be too early to say or an overstatement. Otherwise, the nation state will be at stake.
Since you are from the education background, I would like to ask that first generation reforms which have came in India have developed a very good level of graduation education in India. We have good IITs, then we do have the IIMs, which is the post-graduation level. But somewhere do you feel that still India needs to work heavily on the post-graduations and PhDs level far more than because we are not catching up with the world as far as our education system goes. So where do you see the reform needs to come, the post-graduation level or for that matter, the primary level?
See, everybody does not require a post-graduation degree. Okay. Now, earlier, there was, limited job opportunities, limited branches of economic activities. So, therefore, people thought that let me go higher up in the education. Okay. Now, there are many, branches of education. Okay. You really don't require an MA or MCom degree always. Okay, supposing if you have a BA, BCom degree and then MBA, it will do wonder.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in that case, really you don't require an MCom. Right? That doesn't mean that there is no value of MCom. That means that everybody may not require an MCom degree because it is a further specialization. Because, if you are studying a particular subject for a longer time, that means you are going, from a general understanding to more in-depth understanding. Okay.
Specific, yeah.
Or specific understanding. Now, if you don't require that specific understanding, even through general understanding, okay, you can do certain, very important work which you want to do, you love to do, then why you will be, wasting your 2 or 3 years time to pursue a degree?
Yes.
So, therefore, earlier there is no branches were very limited. So, therefore, people wanted to, have a kind of degree. Also, it was, giving a huge social status in those days. Okay. And also it was keeping an option that you can go for maybe teaching line. Okay. But nowadays, it is not necessary that way. So, therefore, I don't think that, everybody is requiring to go for that higher degree or PhD. Okay. But at the same time, if you look at the, overall volume of students, then you will see that, the postgraduate classes are also crowded. Number of PhDs, okay, are also increasing in the country. Okay. Also, PhDs are now available in many branches which were not so available earlier. For example, I am giving the library sciences. Okay. Now, if you have an library graduation degree, was good enough to be a librarian. But nowadays, many librarians are also completing PhD degree. They are also going into the teaching line. Okay. So like that, in many branches, okay, now people are pursuing a PhD degree, okay, a PhD, okay, doctoral degree, even postdoctoral degree, and that is also increasing. But I don't think that everybody is in need of that, because there are many branches. Okay, even in the management ground, you will see that so many branches are there. So people can do it. Like for example, hospitality degrees.
Yes.
Okay, it is a new sector. Okay, it is thriving. Because of the COVID, it might have got some problem, but definitely in future it will be a major area. Now they don't require a higher degree, because it is lot of applied area. So therefore a basic degree and then lot of experience will do. So why the people who are interested in that area will be wasting their time for pursuing very higher degree or PhD, unless that person wants to be an academic in that line.
Yeah, true. So you also teach UPSC student. That's your major work as of now. You teach political science and international relations. That is an optional subject. Now there used to be 2 optional subjects few years back. That made the examination a bit more specific, because you need to have a expert knowledge in 2 optional subjects. Don't you think by removal of one optional subject and keeping it to only one, and now they are talking about removing the second optional also, don't you think the exam will become too general and too dicey, and the preparation level of student in general would not amount to any specificity, but only general things, and will make the competition more skewed towards one particular section of students?
See, the role of the Institute of Bureaucracy is to help the state function properly, execute its programs, okay, and actions. That is the role of bureaucracy. Now, state has been a dynamic concept, and is not static concept. Okay, the role of the state, function of the state, purpose of the state, objective of the state, okay, they have been changing over the period.
Yes.
If they have been changing, then bureaucracy also will have to cope with the changes. Yes. Now, if the recruitment agency, okay, and they find that to make bureaucracy to cope up with the changes, okay, or this dynamic nature of the state, because state is changing very fast in contemporary world, okay, and a different kind of bureaucracy is necessary, with different kind of vision, different kind of capacity, knowledge. Then there can be reform in structure of the exam, content of the syllabus, okay, and the whole exam process. So there is nothing wrong in that. Only issue is that it should not be done in a one-sided way. In one fine morning, you suddenly come to know this subject is no more existing, like some of the states have done. One fine morning, they have declared that there is no optional subject is only qualifying.
Yeah.
Okay, or this subject is no more existing, but this subject's number has gone up. Okay. Now, this may be a great shock for those candidates who are aspiring to be a civil servant. Now, supposing you just think that a person has only 6 atoms or 7 atoms or 8 atoms. Okay. And now, for first 5 atoms, he has prepared in one mode. Now, he is left with another 2 or 3 atoms. Then in one fine morning, he comes to know that whole structure, whole process is changed. So therefore, he is becoming again a fresher. Yes. That 5 years that he has given has no value now.
Yes, true.
Okay, but his age has gone. Okay, his time has gone. He has prepared himself in one mode. Now, at this juncture, again as a fresher, going through a new process of coaching, new process of studying, new process of preparation may be very difficult.
Yes.
So therefore, instead of this one-sided announcement, if those kind of changes come through a process, through a consultative process, Okay, where those who will be changing it and who will be subject to that change, okay, both they become ever much in advance that a change is coming. So therefore mentally they can get ready. Okay, and the areas where the possible changes are coming, they can get an idea, so that they can get time to prepare themselves to cope with. But this kind of very drastic, sudden is becoming shocking. Supposing a person is left with 1 or 2 chances, okay, now he cannot go back.
True.
And in 2 years, because he'll have to abandon all his learning earlier, so de-learning and relearning, so deconstruction and reconstruction.
Takes time.
So I think that recruitment agencies must also pay attention to these areas.
Yes.
Okay. So these, because change, I don't think nobody is saying that change is not necessary or change is not possible. Okay. But how that change will be introduced, okay, that is a major area of contention. I think, more, serious, constructive thought needs to be given, and consultative process is necessary. And when government officials take decisions, they think a kind of, this whole coaching sector as an untouchable, okay, an area, okay. So it may not be, because in even this coaching industry also, various, good thinkers are there, constructive thinkers are there.
Yeah.
Okay, they are also Indian citizens. They also want, Indian system to be better. So what is wrong even to, take their views, their opinion? So therefore a wider consultation process, okay, is always good for, any reform, any change.
Yes. So one major thing which I have seen, the more dicey a paper becomes, the more coaching industry is going to thrive. With removal of optional subjects and there would be nothing but general studies, don't you think the coaching is going to thrive, the coaching area which UPSC is so particular to eliminate?
Now see that, for the competitive exam, okay, there will be huge number of applicants, and you'll have to screen out, okay, that who can be fit for that job.
Yeah.
So definitely it is a constant system. Okay, whatever reform you may do, you cannot remove this system. Now, when you have a screening system, then definitely you'll have to, experiment with different kind of models of question.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay, different, kind of blending of subjects. Fine. Now, a student who is a fresh graduate, okay, cannot do all these things, on his or on her own.
True.
Okay, and that young person is looking for a job within next 2-3 years. In 2-3 years, she cannot or he cannot prepare himself or herself, okay, to, being a frontliner in a competition. So therefore, coaching centers will always be there, and they will be playing, a supportive role. So therefore, through these kind of reforms, you cannot remove coaching centers from the market. Yeah. Okay, that is not possible. If anybody thinks that way, that will be wrong. So therefore, coaching centers are there, will be there. Okay. Now, only thing is that, it is not about thriving coaching centers. Okay. Now, if there is huge demand, okay, and if, in any sector it will happen, even automobile sector, the same thing happen. Okay, even a textile center will same thing happen. If people find that there is a source of earning, there is a source of livelihood, okay, then people will try to go and make a try there.
Yeah.
So if they find that through coaching centers they can make a living, okay, or they can invest money and earn money, those who are business people, okay, and those who are professional, they find that okay, this is also area where also a pleasure of teaching can come. Those people will be going to that area.
Yeah, and investing.
So therefore, coaching center is not going to die.
It's a free market.
It's a free market.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. So ancient Greek philosophers have said that it is the character of a human being which makes him or her moral and ethical. By introducing the concept of a paper, ethics paper in the UPSC examination, and a particular study of ethics has not been done in any, means it is always attached. There are ethical code of conduct attached with everything, like for boxers, for policemen, for army. But UPSC has made a very specific paper, 250 marks, which will be counted just for ethics. And surely their mandate would be to make a candidate aware of ethical grounds and standards on which the whole bureaucracy works. Do you see that the paper of ethics has done any good in the quality of candidates passing the examination?
Very difficult to say, okay, that whether ethics paper is good or bad, or it is helping or not. But there are two things. Okay, one is that professional ethics, business ethics, and daily life ethics are different from the way you understand ethics in philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in a professional life which is very challenging, like top bureaucrats. Okay. Now, if the recruitment agency wants to test whether your ethical level is not in dangerous level, okay, is a more or less satisfactory level, there is nothing wrong in that. So that means you have some sense of professional ethics, some sense of business ethics, some sense of daily life ethics, because you'll have to lead a huge pyramidal structure where a lot of human resources are there. Okay, there will be gender divide, there will be a caste divide, there will be age divide. So therefore, whether you are able to, you are a person to do that, will be able to do that or not. So if they want to test it in advance, there is nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think that in ethics paper they want to do two things. Okay, one is these professional, daily life and business ethics. They want to see that how this person's thought process is. Another is that they may be making a psychometric test. Okay, to see that what kind of stability in mind, what kind of orientation in mind, okay, this candidate is nurturing or having. Okay, so there is nothing wrong in that. But for that, giving a case, okay, which a candidate cannot read, okay, in less than 15 minutes time, and then articulating its answer will take another 10 minutes time. Okay, I think that whether that is practical or this can be done in a much better way. If that is the purpose, whether that is the only way you make that case study is huge, okay, so that the person is exhausted there, and like that you'll have to do around 5 or 6 of them. Okay, now they may be thinking this is appropriate method, but I think that there is a room, okay, to rethink about it. Okay, because now earlier you had a huge modem, huge what do you call a personal computer called PC. Now everything has come in your palm top.
Yeah.
Okay, now if that kind of changes is possible in technology, in the world of technology, then why in a very small case study also this thing cannot be tested? I think that recruitment agencies and their experts must think about it, and I think that if they come out from their hibernation, okay, and be open to take views and opinions from others, I believe that more candidate friendly, but at the same time, okay, very effective methodology to test students or candidates and their ethical standard is possible.
And sir, thanks for coming. Just to sum up, the last question I would ask, what is your advice to students who are preparing for civil service? What do you think they can do to make themselves better for this preparation?
First thing, after the graduation, they come to this preparation. Okay, so this is the first spell of freedom in life. Okay, they must not waste this space. Okay, so there is a tendency to misutilize this freedom. Okay, any freedom when it is misutilized or underutilized does not help.
Yeah.
So they must use this freedom very constructively. Those who do it, they do better. Secondly, it is not about huge knowledge. Okay, UPSC preparation or civil service exam preparation is also lot of methodological issue. You are, because bureaucrats are not, great scholars on the earth. Okay, they are great executors. So they are methodic people.
Yes.
Okay, so therefore methodology of learning, methodology of applying is also important. Okay, now when the candidates, they learn. But like you are eating, you don't know how to digest it. Okay, so they have to methodically think that how much I need, how to do that, what learning, how to get that learning, then where to apply that. Okay, so they have to do be methodic. Next is that, it is not only reading. Finally, you are tested by your expression. That means, through your writing, you'll have to convince the examiner that you are the right person.
Yes.
Okay, so writing is your language, is your, presentation, is your articulation, is your structuring, and also your, handwriting and content and, many other things. Okay, so I think that, they read, but, then, they plan that after reading, I will do that. Okay, now it is not like that. Okay, like you will have to read and you have to write.
Yes.
Okay, this has to be blended. This has to be this has to go
Side by
together.
side. Yes, together.
Okay, but they don't go simultaneously. You ask them, okay, they will give a long lecture on a subject. You ask them to write, they will not.
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll have to equally become efficient and strong in presentation, because finally presentation matters.
Yes. It's a methodological issue rather than a learning issue.
Exactly. It is not that you are reading in the library for 365 days, 11 hours. Then everybody would have become civil servant.
Yes, true.
Okay, merely going to the library and reading is not the solution. Solution is methodic learning. Solution is that know that why I am learning it, where to apply, and then learn how to apply it. And your application is writing answers. That means you'll have to black and white. You'll have to see whether you can express your thought properly or not. For that, you require structure, you require knowledge, you require articulation, and there are 5-6 areas on which you'll have to be very efficient.
Yes.
Okay, I think problem is there.
So, sir, once again, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It was very educating to learn from you, and I hope some other time we'll sit again and do the podcast.
Most welcome. Thank you.